You have found Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. Past episodes of the Authentic Business Adventures business program can be found on the podcast link at drawincustomers.com. We are coming to you from the Sun Prairie Community Radio Studios, underwritten by Bank of Sun Prairie. My name is James Kademan, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and helpful coach to small business owners across the country. Today, we're welcoming / preparing to learn from Tara Ingalls, owner of Tingles Graphic Design.
Hello.
Tara, how you doing today?
I'm good.
Awesome. So you have a graphic design company.
I do.
And I've known you for years. And I can't believe that it's taken me this long to get you on the air.
Yeah.
So tell me a story about Tingles Graphic Design.
I'll tell you a story?
Yeah, like when did you start?
Story.
How long you been around? The story. We'll get into details later.
Okay, so don't talk about my history.
No, totally talk about your history. Well, how about we start with how long have you been around, the business-wise?
Yeah. So Tingles Graphic Design has been in existence since '99.
Wow. Okay, so you're talking 10 years.
Coming up on 20.
20 years. Oh
20
my gosh,
years.
that's me with my math.
Yep.
Look at that. I was just listening to a biography of Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay.
And he's terrible at math. And
Well,
I'm
there
like,
you
oh,
go.
sweet, I'm a genius too.
Yeah, you could be a genius without knowing math. No,
Nice.
Yep, we're coming up on 20 years.
20 years, high five there. That's awesome.
Very excited.
Are you doing super cool things?
Never would have imagined that I'd be where I am right now when I started in '99.
Two decades. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Wow.
Yeah. Started as a freelancer and then started building, a company, small graphic design firm, and now I would consider us definitely in the agency sphere or arena.
Very cool. Very cool. So you started in '99. What caused you to start your business?
So I was working full-time at a firm doing corporate communications design and was just kind of bored and wanted to spawn out. And somebody had contacted me to do a golf club newsletter. They were looking for a freelancer because it's something that could go through the insurance firm. And so I raised my hand, and that was kind of one of my first freelance gigs. And bought a computer and the printer and all that stuff, and the software, and it was expensive back then. It's expensive now.
It's expensive now.
It's expensive, but it was expensive. To get the design software was expensive. And started doing that, and then got married and did my photographer's materials. And then, I left my full-time job shortly after the 9/11 event, and I started 5 clients in my back pocket and was like, it's kind of how you got to do it. You got to leave the safety net behind and never looked back. So.
Nice. So at what point did you first get your employees? Because I know you have employees now.
I moved out of my house and into an office space in 2001, I believe. Okay. And then hired my first employee in 2003.
Nice. So tell me about the transition, because I know from a lot of people that have been sitting in that chair, the transition from just kind of hanging out in your own house, working in your PJs kind of thing, to getting into a real office. Yeah. That's a milestone.
I had a real problem in my home of, it wasn't necessarily like not being focused and purposeful with my business. It's just that, like, to me, like, my husband, who was working all day, would come home and there was sort of this, not expectation, but like, well, you're home, you can do the home chores, and you can do this. So like I felt the pressure to like do it all like during the business day. So like moving out of my home and into an office space gave me a place to go, gave me, somewhere to get up in the morning and go. And making that one small transition was a huge game changer. And now with all these incubator spaces all over Madison, you can get out of your pajamas and just go sit on a couch somewhere and just be on your laptop and pay a fee for that. But I mean, being around other professionals and entrepreneurs, it's extremely motivating, and I wish I would have had that. I mean, my office was really small; it was about 500 square feet. I had 2 rooms, and then my first employee filled that second room, and then when we hired my second employee, we took what was then an little storage closet, and we cleaned it out, and we put a computer in there, and that was her office too. She was our intern, so it was okay. But I realized quickly, like, I can't grow much more in this space. So so in 2005 we moved into our next office, which was about 1,200 square feet.
Okay, nice.
But the hiring of the employee, like, getting back to your question, that it was because like I was doing everything. I was doing the sales, the graphic design, the follow-up, I was managing the printing. And when an employee came on, like, I wanted to expand the sales, but I couldn't let go of the design. So I brought in a designer. She was doing design work. And I absolutely loved having somebody there to bounce ideas off and stuff. But I realized pretty quickly I was kind of a control freak and how I wanted it to look. And I was ended up redoing things and stuff like that.
Sure.
And it wasn't until I hired my second full-time designer that really was like, if you want to grow this, you got to trust me. Like, you got to let me do my job and
Sure.
kind of put the foot down. It was like, you can't micromanage.
So the employee said that?
Yeah.
Oh,
So my
that's
second
awesome.
employee, I lost my first employee probably because I couldn't stop the controlling. But yeah, my second employee, she was with me for 6 years after that point. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a great asset to the company, very creative.
Mm-hmm.
So it allowed me to then be like, okay, she's got the design. I did still do quite a bit of design back then, but
Sure.
yeah, allowed me to go out and kind of grow the business and do more networking and get outside the office. So,
Nice.
but yeah, it is hard. And, you know, there's all the other things that go along with hiring an employee of like, you know, filing the paperwork and, you know, you don't lose anything, but you lose that sort of, I feel like that it's that, oh, I'm starting a business mentality. You
Right.
lose that entrepreneurship where it's all mine and
Right.
you have to like share that with someone. And it's good and bad, but it
Sure.
is frightening. It
Sure.
can be frightening.
Well, the hope is that you make some money off the time
Sure.
that you're paying them.
Right.
But then you still have to pay them.
Right, because I could have hired a contractor. I mean,
Sure.
that's definitely a possibility. But to me, I wanted to, I don't know, like I wanted my look and feel to continue on, and I feel like with a contractor, you don't get that control when it's under one roof.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I use contractors now even when we have overflow work, and we're very specific about we want it to look like this, we want it to
Sure.
feel like this. So. But I can imagine where that self of like, okay, this is my little baby, and now I've got to share that with someone else. It's
Sure.
and you got, you know, that's hard for people. To
Yeah,
do, but-
that's interesting that you mentioned the sharing your baby kind of thing, sharing the business. I've never considered it that way.
Well, and it's sharing the good and the bad, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm bringing somebody on, and now I'm responsible
Yeah.
to bring into work that goes on her plate, and you know, her livelihood. Like, she's making a leap from a full-time position to come work for me full-time.
Yep.
You know, I have to make it work.
You have an
And
obligation.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I still feel that way. And I've got 6 employees right now, and you know, it's still my responsibility to go out and shoot the kill and bring it back. And
Yeah.
it's good and bad. We all share, but to me now, the culture that we've developed at Tingles is so collaborative and supportive that we
Oh, that's
all
awesome.
all success is celebrated, and
Sure.
and all, you know, if there is something that we have to work on, we work on it as a team. So it's,
Okay.
and not all companies I think have that kind of
No.
that culture.
No, that takes
Very
a while
proud
to.
of our culture.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, number one thing I'm most proud of is the culture that we've built at our company.
Yeah, you can be so much more productive when you have a good culture, and
If you love what you do, it really shows. And I heard a quote, somebody said somewhere that people know when they're buying things from an employee who loves where they work.
Sure.
Like, you can just tell.
Sure.
You know, when you go to, you know, any department store and they're like, next, you know, like, you don't, like, that
Right.
experience, whether or not they're the owner of the company or the, you know, the person answering the phone, like, makes
Yeah.
a huge difference. So I think if people love where they work and they really enjoy who they're working with and what they're doing, it just shines through.
no, the personality, the culture,
Yeah.
that's insanely important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently that I've been hearing that employee, you know, the unemployment rate is so down right now that people are like, I need an edge. Like, what's my edge to get employees in, but not only in, but to retain them, right?
Yes.
So you can give them all the money in the world, but if they come in and they hate what they do and they hate who they're working with,
Right.
they're going to leave. So, I
Or
mean,
they'll just do a bad job and take the money.
right, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens too. So culture is now becoming something where you have to give something that's either intangible or maybe it is tangible, something that maybe your competition isn't.
Right.
So at Tingles, we really strive hard to have a very low stress, high fun working environment.
Sure.
Where maybe we take things a little bit too silly
Sure.
sometimes, but I think
Oh, you're a design company, you're fine.
yeah, we're in the artsy fartsy world. So things go a little farther, but that's something I think that, you know, the longevity of the staff that I have right now have been with me
Yeah.
for that reason, is that I try really hard to make that culture work.
No, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Huge deal.
Yeah,
I did not realize how big of a deal that was until I got more than one employee.
sure.
And just like, man.
Well, and how are they going to work together? So, right, you got
Yes.
one employee, right? So you got to get along with that person. And you've interviewed that person, so you're like, yeah, if we get along okay in the interview, we're probably going to get along.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
So then you get another person, and you're like, yeah, I get along with that person. It's going to be okay, but they have to get along.
Yes.
Right. So I mean, you don't know. I mean, personality assessment is something that I do whenever I hire a new employee. It gives you an idea of who they are, how they communicate, how they like to receive feedback, whether or not they're open to public accolades or they want that more private. So you
Sure.
can get an idea from somebody using like a DISC personality,
Yeah.
something like that, like whether or not they're going to fit within your culture. Because if they're like in my culture, if you're hugely introverted, you're not going to like working for me.
Let's just get run
Probably because
over.
let's just say that right now. But yeah, I think that helps a lot. It helps
Sure.
you kind of, because in an interview, everyone's really nervous, and you don't know. I definitely recommend having more than one
Right.
interview. This most recent hire that we just hired to help us grow the business, she was interviewed not only by me but also by 2 members of my staff who then asked their own questions.
Sure.
And left a little bit more of an open environment for her to ask them more questions that maybe she wouldn't have asked me about
Sure.
culture and about how
Sure.
I manage and things. So I thought that was strong too, to kind of, so that kind of helps you know whether they're going to get along.
Sure. Were these interviews all at the same time or sequential, or was it different times?
I always do the preliminary. I do phone interviews, and then I do in-person interviews, and then sometimes I do second in-person, just with me. But then
Sure.
this particular, I had narrowed it down to like 3 candidates, and I was torn. Like I just
Oh,
felt
gotcha.
like, what culture we only had with the 5 people that we had, we were like, oh, culture is so important. If we bring someone in and she's not the right fit, or we don't get
It's a
along
big
with her
chunk.
or him, we're an all-female staff right now, but doesn't mean
Sure.
we're not equal opportunity.
Right.
We are. But what if she doesn't fit? So I was like, well, how better than to just let you meet her, ahead of time. So that worked out well. So they interviewed 2 of the 3 candidates, and kind of both looked at each other and were like, yeah, definitely this,
All
just
right.
worked out better.
All right.
So
That's super cool.
yeah.
Yeah, that's been a challenge. I know for me, I want to say up until recently, it's been a challenge. Because a lot of times, even when I've had employees interview,
Yeah.
we're a small staff, it calls on call.
Mhm.
And so one person just can taint the culture of
Yeah.
a company so quickly.
Yeah.
And me, manager, owner guy, that's not always necessarily in the office.
Yeah.
Or I'm in an office in the building, but
Mhm.
I'm not hovering over there,
No.
so I'm not aware.
No, and you hire people to be motivated and self-motivated, and I tell that in my interview. I ask, what kind of management style do you like? Because I'm not going to be the one that's
Right.
standing at the door going, it's 8:05, where are you? Like, I
Right.
don't have time for that. So
Right.
you're a grown-up, I'm a grown-up.
Mm-hmm.
You get there on, the time that you need to. But yeah, I think that you don't want to have to be there supervising and things
Right.
like that.
Mhm.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's interesting. Nobody tells you how much baggage they have or how big of a pain. Did you just give us a magic number of like,
1 to 10, how crazy are you?
yeah, how psycho are
Just
you?
kidding.
Yeah, I've hired some 10s.
Yeah, well, I mean, tens
Not
are
in a good way.
what my brother, who Chris, if you're listening out there, my brother, has been in human resource and training his whole life, has always said, if you want a successful business, you have to hire people that are better than you.
Yes.
That's hard to do. That's a hard pill to swallow.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to hire somebody who knows more than you do, because you don't necessarily know that they do know more. But
Sure.
that's one thing, is you have to kind of be willing to let go of that mentality of, well, I know everything, I'm going to get an employee in here and I'm going to
Right.
train them. You want that, somebody coming and going and questioning your process and why do you do that, and I think that will really help grow your business, is having somebody that is better than. And that's, I mean, people who look at our work when they come into our office and they're like, God, you guys just do such beautiful work, and I know they don't think that I personally do it, but
Right.
I hired designers that were extremely talented and creative, and the work that's on the wall now is not my work anymore.
Sure.
It's their work, but
Right.
that's hard when you're like, I don't even know how to use the software necessarily anymore. So that's hard when you're
Sure.
when you're
But
wanting to hire talent.
that's the goal, right?
Right. You want to hire talent.
Sure.
You don't want to just hire someone that you get along with. So,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Talent and no baggage, right?
Right. Yeah. Everyone's got baggage, though. I mean, come on now.
We just want to carry on,
Yeah.
not like, hey, why do you have an entourage carrying a bunch of... What are
If they
those
have people
huge trucks?
behind them walking the baggage in, then maybe
Yes.
it's a red flag. No.
Yeah. Huge,
No,
huge,
baggage
huge.
can be a good thing. I mean, baggage is what creates rapport between employees, right? I mean,
That's fair.
our employees sit together almost every single day and have lunch, and some of the conversations get, during the campaign, they got political. During, even though we're all women, I mean, everyone's surprised, like, oh, there's no cattiness. There really isn't. And
Sure.
I know it. I hope there's not, but they told me there's not, but I don't think that there is. But it's a very different work environment than, I came from an insurance firm. I was in a cubicle, like nobody ate together, or if
Sure.
they did, they were in the cafeteria. There was,
Right.
or I left. I just went. I got to get out of here. I got to
Right.
go home and come back. But yeah,
Sure.
that's another thing I think that is huge for camaraderie.
Interesting. So,
Yeah.
since we're on the topic of employees and lunch and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
do you ever eat lunch with them?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I
Okay.
do every Friday. We have a staff lunch, so
Okay.
that's on the calendar per se.
Sure.
We play cards on Fridays as well together. So I do.
I didn't know if
A
it was
lot.
an us versus them.
No,
kind
I
of
mean
thing.
they're literally in our office suite is very open. So this table that I got, I mean, you'd think that there's like a ding-a-ling bell that goes off at noon. Everyone stops what they're doing, goes to the fridge, brings their and sit down. And we also have a theater in our office, so we'll
Nice.
put on reruns of The Office or
Okay.
Friends or something just to keep it light. And
Sure.
during the holidays, we put a barrage of Christmas music, Christmas movies on, and
Sure.
just listen to those in the back for about 45 minutes, and everyone kind of just chills and
Nice.
checks their phone and does all
Right.
that stuff. But yeah, I sit out there, and if I have a meeting or if I come, I just shut my door
Right.
because I have my own office. But yeah, it's in the middle of the suite, so everybody.
Okay. So it's not like you show up and everybody quiets down.
Well, that does happen. Sometimes I'll walk into the office. It's really fun. I just said this the other day. I walk in the office and there's laughter, just belted laughter, and I walk in and everyone's like, shh, and it's like quiet. And then I ask them like, why when I walk in and everyone's laughing? And then all of a sudden I walk around the corner, it's all quiet, and they're like, because what if you're a client? I'm like, clients come here, then we laugh. It's okay.
Nice.
But I mean, that's fine. I mean, they're all laughing when I'm gone. At least they're not doing something
Right.
else.
That's true.
Could
That's
be
fair.
worse. Could be worse.
That's definitely true.
No.
So when you started your business 20 years ago, did you believe that it was going to be at this point?
No, I mean, last summer we reached our 1,000th client, which
Oh,
was
nice.
a milestone I could have never. I mean, when you leave starting a freelance business with 5
Right.
clients, like I just never would have ever imagined. I figured I'd have maybe a dozen or so that I do regular work for, and
Yeah.
20 years ago, there was a lot of print newsletters, a lot of print being done, and so I was doing a lot of like monthly newsletters for some of my clients. So there was
sure.
work I knew was coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, what was the question?
As
Oh,
far
did I
as
ever
20
dream
years
of
ago,
be-
yeah, where did you want to be?
No,
here?
I just didn't. I thought that I would do some freelance work, and then maybe when the kids are grown, I'd go back to school or something like that, or go back to work or something. But no, we did that, and then we've recently won a couple of awards for our website products, which has been
Very cool.
great. Great PR for the company, great awareness for the company. I feel like we've been flying under the radar a little bit, and
Sure.
now some larger companies or larger agencies are probably like, who's this Tingles
Sure.
company? They're winning all the website
Keep
awards.
hearing this.
What's going on? So no, I never would have in my wildest dreams, and I feel, like I said to you outside, like I feel very blessed to have fallen in a career that brings me a lot of joy, brings my clients a lot of joy, my employees are happy, my family's happy. I may be the business owner, but I really do just try to work a 45-hour
Sure.
week or so. I mean, we all take our baggage home at night, but
Right.
I try not to let that affect my home life. So I think that's a success when you don't have to work on the weekends.
That's
when
huge.
You can take
That's
a step
huge.
back. So yeah, I never would have imagined. No,
Nice.
I did a business plan with the Small Business Development Center back in 98, 99, whenever I kind of started Tingles, and
Yeah.
you have to put some financial projections, and all I wanted to do was make my salary back. That was my financial goal. I mean, obviously I wanted to be happier and have all that and have the ability to pick my clients, but I just wanted to make that back because that was
Right.
what I was contributing to the family, to my husband and I.
Yeah.
So, when I made that within like the first year, even less than a year, I was like, oh crap, I kind of
Whoa.
exceeded my financial
This is
projections
good,
for
eh?
5 years. So wow, something's there's a secret sauce here. I don't know what it is, but something's
Sure.
working well. And we wanted to start a family. That didn't come right away as fast as I love when people are like, I'm going to have a child next summer. It's like, yeah, good luck with
Let me
that.
just go ahead and schedule
just
this.
go ahead and schedule that.
9
go ahead
months
and-
from now.
yeah, I love people. A lot of people are like, well, I'm a teacher and I'm going to have my baby in the summer. It's like, okay, yeah,
Yeah, I can
good
tell
luck
you
trying
from
to plan it.
experience. It took us 5 years,
Yeah.
and my wife's a teacher,
okay,
and our kid came in December.
okay, right in the middle of the yeah.
Not the most ideal
No,
time.
no, I need
You work it out,
Yeah,
but-
you can't control it. So
Yeah.
So it took us 5 years as well, and by then Tingles, was very strong. Lots of huge client base. I had more than one employee at the time. Probably wasn't in the right position with my first child when I had just as far as like when I left for my maternity leave, she had a bassinet in our office. I was back in
sure.
the office a
Yep.
couple weeks later. She had a little bassinet right in my office, and she was there probably for the first 12 or so weeks, and
Sure.
then I found care. But that was a little bit hard because it was my first baby. I didn't
Right.
know what I was doing
No.
with that either.
No,
But
nobody does.
no, nobody does. But yeah, so I mean I really didn't have any expectations, and I do really feel blessed that
Nice.
that it's grown organically too. I mean, we haven't done much advertising. It's a lot been word of mouth and
Mm-hmm.
doing good with our clients and asking for referrals and that kind of thing. So,
Sure. Let's shift into marketing
'Kay.
from a segue point of view.
Yeah.
You've not done any advertising or haven't done much.
The only if you see us in an advertisement, it's because we designed the book, or
Okay.
we designed, or we do a lot of event sponsorship where we'll do the event design for free, and then
Sure.
they give us our logo on the back of the book.
Oh,
Or
nice.
our logo
Okay.
on the book, something like that. So if you see an advertisement, that way, then we've done some sort of work for it. But I have not paid for traditional, what I would consider traditional advertising, magazine, radio, TV. I've not paid for anything like that.
Okay.
Now, social media is a whole different. I mean, you got to pay to play now, and I've done Google AdWords and things. So
Okay.
from that standpoint, I have done advertising. Probably the last 3 years, I've started there doing some direct
Gotcha.
digital advertising, but traditional advertising, I've not done.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the online stuff, you've seen some good
You do
return
see
on that?
return, and what's nice about digital marketing is you can track it. Like, you can get down in the real deep into the weeds with Google Analytics, and even Facebook Insights gives you a lot of really great information about, whether your ad was opened, whether there was a conversion that happened and stuff. The path to know where your lead came is so messy now. Like, where, it used to be, I saw you in the Yellow Pages, and that's very clear. They opened up the Yellow Pages. They were looking for graphic design or website design, and they found you. But now it's very muddy. They might have heard from a friend who then posted something on Facebook. Then you went to the website, and then you filled out a form, and the form says, "How did you hear about us?" And they say website.
Sure.
But really, it was their neighbor's
Right.
barbecue that they really heard you. So that line
Yep.
of really knowing where they heard you is a little bit. It's harder to find that out.
Very.
Digital marketing, I feel like, gives you a better tracking source. I work with a company that does digital marketing, kind of assists us, and you can literally watch with remarketing the way, I don't even understand this as clearly as it's probably available to me, but where they went to your website, you can actually put something like a heat mapping sensor on your website.
Sure.
Where you can watch people's behavior as they scroll around your website. You can see what buttons they click on.
Oh,
I've
wow.
watched these videos. They get all the way to the contact page and they don't fill it out. And it drives me nuts. So you're like, how do I make my website more robust? So they
Sure.
fill it out. So, large buttons and large graphics and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
you can watch that conversion kind of happen. And
That's awesome.
to me, that's a lot easier than going, I hope someone drives by and sees my billboard.
Sure.
But there, I don't want to say anything, that there are definitely uses for traditional media. There are certain industries where they, you still would expect to see it or hear it on traditional media. It's just, for me, I built my business on networking and relational marketing, and to me, it's easier for me, just my personality type, and
Sure.
less expensive
Sure.
for me to network and things like that. But I definitely don't want to be standing here or sitting here saying that there aren't places for traditional, because I definitely think that there are.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think it depends on the business itself as well,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, how many events have you seen, like on the digital billboard for Adams, where you're like, I didn't even know, the Frosty Ball is coming up. Oh, I gotta go to that. So
Right,
I feel
right.
like there's definitely places for that large scale advertising.
Yeah, it just depends on who your target market is.
Right. Target
If
market's
it's a
huge.
mass or everyone, then a billboard's probably a good fit.
Or
but-
somebody specifically driving on a route.
Yes.
Like one of our clients is J. Henry Bourbon, and they've got a billboard right at the exit of to tour their facilities. So, I mean, that's a
gotcha.
great place for a
Right,
billboard, obviously.
right.
So, yeah, so it makes sense.
right above your competition or something.
Yeah. No, well, you hope not. Yeah.
Don't turn here.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that'd be horrible.
So, what have been some of the challenges that you've experienced over the course of 20 years?
Yeah, you asked me that to think of something, and I told you I haven't had a lot of challenges. I mean, there have
Things
been,
that would just knock on every piece of wood we find.
right? This is for Micah. I don't think it's real wood. I don't know. Like, challenges for me have to do more with like communication, miscommunication. Our processes over the years have been refined because
Sure.
of communication issues or miscommunication, stuff like that. But I don't know that I've had like, it's horrible. I'm trying to think of like a good challenge. Like,
That's probably not a bad thing.
no, I mean, even we've had turnover. I mean, every company has turnover. I mean, for various reasons. That's hard because you put time and effort into training somebody,
Sure.
and then they leave you for a competitor, or they leave you for a completely different career, and you're like,
Right.
what happened?
What?
So that's hard. Turnover's hard. The team I have right now that's been with me, my designers have been with me for 6 years. My account manager
Nice.
for 2. So, the longer we're together, the stronger we are as a unit. So
Yes.
that's been, I mean, so that's awesome. But turnover isn't a bad thing either, because you get new blood and someone coming in and questioning those things and bringing in. Our new salesperson is actually a designer as well. So like, she's bringing in a whole wealth of design knowledge that
Sure.
she's got, and that adds to the team. So, you just try not to take it personally, but in a small office, it's kind of hard when,
Sure.
when you get to know people on a, more of a personal level and stuff
Right.
like that.
No, that's fair. One thing I did want to ask, because I have a little bit of a graphic design background,
Yep.
it's much smaller scale, but when you have a team of graphic designers and somebody puts out a product, right, business
Sure.
card, website, whatever it is, finished product,
Yep.
does the rest of the team, if anybody doesn't like something about it, do they say something, Or is it just accepted that, hey,
Better not
this
be
is-
at that point that they say
Okay.
something. No, our office design is collaborative in such a way that they can look over each other's shoulders and see what each other are working on. And I do really love when someone gets stuck, they'll say, "Can you come and look at it? Like, I'm just stuck here."
Sure.
And then they'll come up and point, like, there's a video on our website that shows kind of, it's like a 3-minute video of the culture of Tingles and stuff. And
Sure.
some of the video is like designers standing behind others pointing at the screen. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, that looks like it's so staged. And it isn't. Like, it was staged for the video shoot, but that
Right.
is what we do a lot. And the designers will be like, God, I'm just stuck on this color or this font or whatever.
Sure.
And then another designer comes in, completely never seen it,
Yeah.
can be like, well, have you tried this? And it's like, oh, duh, that looks great. So there's a lot of collaboration going on that. Our logo product, if anyone's looking for a logo, is really collaborative. All members of our team sit down and come up with ideas for those logos.
nice.
So that's, when you're looking for a logo, if you want more than one design eye, that is, it's phenomenal, some of the ideas that come out of that I would have never even been like. I mean, and everyone's got different backgrounds and
Sure.
different trainings, and some of them are also painters and photographers and artists outside of graphic
Sure.
design, so that comes into play.
Sure.
No, the only time where I feel like, to answer your question, where that's kind of happened is where we're working on a project and we really, really love it. We send the proof out and the client doesn't love it, or the client is
yeah.
like, move this around, and then all of a sudden our beautiful design becomes client-driven design, and
Oh
that's
my
difficult.
gosh.
So we just have started evoking, in my professional opinion, ... You know, or in my professional opinion, if you put a rainbow and a unicorn on here,
Sure.
it's going to become cliche, or it's going to be,
Right.
you know, this and that. So, you know, kind of just saying, we've been doing this a while. We kind of know what we're talking about. And some clients are like, do it my way. I'm paying the bill, and that's fine.
I signed the check.
Yeah,
do it
I
my
sign
way.
the check. But, you know, ultimately the client is the one,
Sure.
you know, they're the one that stands behind it. And we want to do good work, and we want to do what they say. But I think as long as you're willing to say, you know, in my professional opinion, I think,
Right.
you know, we'll do it. Here it is, the way you thought.
Yeah.
But we kind of tweaked it, and here's a second version. We're not going
Sure.
to charge you for that version, but we just want to show you. That happens a lot, and hopefully that they choose the second version.
Right.
But yeah, no, I don't think that happens in our office very often. If it does, I think they're quiet. They don't say anything.
His mouth shut.
Yeah, mouth shut. It's too late when the client sees it.
Funny.
I will say though that in the graphic design world, if you're working on something and you're just not 100%, or if you have to give 2 options or 3 options, and one of them is just you're not feeling it, do not show that option, because I don't know what it is. It's like that Rogers rules or
Sure.
whatever. They ultimately, clients are drawn to, I don't know what it is. Like, so I just say, you know, you
Oh,
put
that's
out,
totally true.
it's true, isn't it? Yeah. So like when we do logo design, we usually give around 10 or so options, and we sometimes have a really hard time narrowing down the number of options we get, because we get excited about the
Sure.
project, and we're like, well, let's show them everything. It's like, no. If you're not feeling it, or if it didn't get to be 100%, or if you can't envision this being on a website or a business card, let's not include it. And it doesn't hurt their feelings. It doesn't
Sure.
hurt my feelings. No one has thick skin.
The logistics of reality there.
Yeah, it's true.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. When I was way back when I was a designer, I started bottom rung, and you're doing all the pro bono stuff
Sure.
that the graphic design company whatever takes on,
Sure.
so they just give it to me.
Right. Oh, okay.
So you're doing brochures for churches and all this
Sure.
stuff.
Sure.
And you give them 3 samples, like 1 super awesome one, and 2 just like, we're supposed to give them 3, so here you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And they put it to their little committee or their board, and then they'd pick one of your junk filler ones.
See, just don't give them the junk
Like,
filler.
oh,
Okay.
man.
You know, at our company, we only give usually one concept.
Okay.
You know, we say, if you're looking for a trifold brochure and you give us the content and here's the photos, we give you one design. Not only is it going to be our best work, because we're going to refine that with the amount of hours that you've given us, but, you know, we're also being budget conscious, because the more options, the more you got to pay for it.
Sure.
So, you know, knowing what their brand is or their target audience, we're going to give them the best concept that we think is going to meet the needs of both those things. And, you know, that's the way it is. Of course, they can make edits
Sure.
and they can refine it. But, you know, a lot of companies pride themselves on, we give multiple options. That's awesome if you can do that. But, like, 75% of our clients are small businesses.
Sure.
And so we're really geared towards that budget, getting it right the first time, you know, kind of mentality. And,
Sure.
So that's important
Sure.
to us.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Smart idea. I wish I would have known that way more than 20 years ago. Anyways, I want to segue back into pricing.
Sure.
Not necessarily talking about dollars specifically, but just how do you price making art is what's
I know,
essentially
right?
going on.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of do-it-yourself websites out there, right, where people can go get things
Sure.
really inexpensive, or there's apps on your phone now. You can design a brochure. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. So the way that we do our pricing is we do have an hourly rate, but we sit down with a client, we do a needs assessment, we find out what they're looking for, we find out how much input they're able to provide us, because some companies we meet with already have an existing brand. It's a lot easier to design within an existing brand than it is to come up with a new one. So we can be a lot less expensive when they already have something already created. But if you don't ask those questions up front and they're like, oh, by the way, we have a folder and 6 flyers that it has to match. If you don't ask that question up front and you design something totally different, you've just wasted their money.
Yes.
So, I mean, hourly rate to me also means nothing if there's no experience behind that, right? So I mean, we're upward of 100. So I mean, when you ask, wow, $100 an hour or more than $100 an hour, what does that come? I mean, speed comes with that, expertise, knowing how to place things quickly and efficiently comes with that. So somebody could take our quote and say, well, I can do it for $50 an hour or $65 an hour. That's awesome. But if you take twice as long or 3 times as long, it's more expensive in the end.
It's tough to compare apples to apples when you're talking about design.
It's very hard. It's very hard. And website design is very hard too, because even the WordPress platform that we design in is not apples to apples. I mean, the way you can build a WordPress website is, oh gosh, like there's so many different types of ways to build that platform. Just know what you're buying. Get a little bit of education on that. Know what that deliverable is going to look like, because it's just not. It's really difficult. To buy a website. Our blog specifically has a lot of information on what questions to ask. How do you develop a request for proposal? To get that stuff. But I would just say my advice for trying to get pricing is kind of ask the question, what is this going to cost me, kind of end of the thing. Make sure the proposal includes not only the initial draft, but be reasonable that it should include revisions, because it's very rare that we ever design something and there's not one period missing, or or phone numbers wrong, or something. So expect there to be revisions, and then find out whether or not they're going to take care of the execution of the printing, if they're going to handle that. But to me, when you're like, oh, you're only $50 an hour, I'm going to go with you, again, like they might still do it in the same time frame that we do. I just would get more of a full project proposal if you're going to pull the trigger on working with a company. Ask about turnaround. Like our turnaround is 5 days or less. So some companies they might be less expensive, but they're going to take 3 months to get it done. So how fast do you need that timeline done? Samples of work is always, have you worked in my industry before? And don't not go with a company because they haven't worked your industry, because if you like their work, that's sometimes a good thing, because they don't have anything to refer to. But I once lost an account because they were like, oh, you don't have work in my industry. And I'm like, but it doesn't really matter.
You don't know the blue that we use?
No, so I mean, those are the, getting some samples, talking about turnaround, ask them how they, invoice. At our firm, we invoice at the end of the month, and then you have 30 days to pay for it. So essentially, our clients are even using their designs before they even have to pay for it.
So they can flow cash for almost 2 months.
Yeah, I know. It's I started that. I've thought about changing. Whose
plan was this?
It was not my. Well, it was my plan. I don't know. I just never changed it. I mean, I haven't raised my rates in 6 years, so I mean, I need to probably do that too. But
holy cow!
I know. I'm too nice. I'm too nice. But the reason I did the payment plan like I did was because most of our clients are startups and small businesses, and they don't have the capital. So, every business starts with the logo, right? If they can't get the logo, they can't get the business cards. They can't get the business cards, they can't get letterhead, brochures, signage, trade show, website, whatever. So kind of, that progression works. I mean, we have worked on an entire brand within a 60-day period, start to finish, and them not have to pay for anything until that 60-day mark. So if we start in the beginning of the month, that's pretty rare that we get the whole thing done. But
so that means you're floating all that payroll and expenses, blah blah blah,
based on last month's invoice. So, all right. Yeah, it's and some of my vendors
just
are
realizing now, like, wait a second.
We choose our vendors based on whether or not they can be accommodating to that, right? So if we do we just did a folder run for somebody, and there was like 10,000 folders, and it ended up being like $7,500, or $8,500 or whatever. We have to pay that bill, right? This vendor in particular charges by credit card, so you have to pay it up front. So that particular project, like our clients have to pay for that on pickup because we've already executed the payment. So, but some of our vendors know our terms and are willing to work with us on payment. So if the client's like, well, some of our larger clients have to go through a PO and then it has to get a check cut at a certain time of the, so sometimes I don't get payments for like 60 days, but that's kind of the exception. But we try to work with vendors that understand our, who we work with and how that works. Stuff,
So without talking numbers, your pricing 20 years ago How has that
Yeah.
evolved? Is it just the way that you bill? I imagine the total cost per
Yeah.
hour, all that jazz.
Well, as overhead increases and as the level of experience of my designer increases, you have to increase your prices to be competitive. And I did probably don't know if I should say this, but I did like a secret chopper type of thing.
That's
Couple
totally
years ago.
fine.
Yeah, a couple years ago, just to get an idea. Like we didn't know where we stood. You know, we were coming out of being what would be considered a freelance firm, and then there's agencies that have much larger pricing, much slower turn, but then you have these freelancers that work nights and they can turn things quickly. So we're like in
for
this sweet spot.
$6 we'll get you a logo.
Yeah.
Right?
I want to see that logo.
Seems legit.
Yeah, I want to see that logo. I would buyer beware. I will say this, that if you are going to a do-it-yourself website online where people are like bidding for work and stuff, be very clear that when you get that logo, you might want to do like a reverse Google image lookup to make sure that icon was not used on a similar logo, because they will just throw whatever on that logo. And I did that with a client in a meeting. They were like, "Oh, we got our logo at such and such website."
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Oh, let me just show you something real quick," because I had already done it. And I looked, and then it was with like 2 other firms, like not same industry, but same exact icon. And it's just that. Just be careful with that. That's hard. Wait, okay, so my pricing structure, how did it change?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
over the course of 20 years, I imagine there's
20
some
years,
stuff
I think I've changed my pricing structure 4 times.
That's
Isn't that
it?
horrible? I know, it's horrible.
Well, it
so I
depends how
started
good you
out,
were
I
to
was a
start.
freelancer, $35 an hour, and then when I moved into office space, I went to 75.
Sure.
Then I went to 90.
You
and
just
then
bump up gradually as you advance
as,
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then 6 years ago, I think we bumped up, and I've been steady at that. It's like one of those things where you just like forget. I was like, "Whoops, I forgot to raise my rates," and then now I am like 6 years later. I'm like, "Oh dang, I'm like, am I still competitive? Like I'm not even sure." I know that I'm lower than my competition because I've been shown bids by clients who've been secure to show me that. But I don't know. Like to me, when the bills are paid and everything is said and done, and the company's still profitable, like I don't know. Like to me. Raising rates is, I know everybody does it. They're like, "Oh, my cell phone bill went up and I wasn't notified." It's, I don't know how to do that. Like if someone out there's got advice on how to raise your rates, like without making a huge wave, like I would love to know that.
Yeah.
There's no good way of doing it, because if you alert people, you might lose people.
Right.
But if you don't alert, then it's kind of like, oh, like I wish I'd have known. I wouldn't have done that. I don't know. One of piece of advice that somebody said is notify your clients you're going to raise your rate in the future, so they can do the work now before that new rate goes in, and you're going to get really busy between now and then. So
for something like what you have going on.
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought that might be what we'll do. We'll see.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. We'll talk in another 5 years. You'll be like, wait.
I'm still at the same rate.
It's been 10.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you have a lot of resources that you've gone through in Madison.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah.
So I like I said earlier, I did my business plan through the Small Business Development Center. Really, really great resource. Very low cost classes in there. I believe my class was like $50 back then. It was really inexpensive. They've got a lot of really great continuing education, great classes in to learn about accounting, to learn about marketing, social media. Lots of great classes. Great instructors. And then another resource was the Dream Bank. If people don't know about the American Family Dream Bank, oh my gosh, you've been living under a rock. Because I know you've spoken there.
Yep.
I would love to speak there. I'm going to put that plug out there. I did speak on a panel, but I feel like you've made it as a speaker if you speak at the Dream Bank. I don't know why I think that. So I'm like waiting for them to come get me, but I know I probably
To be fair, I think I had 5 people in my audience. So
no, but still, you spoke at the Dream Bank. Like that's all.
Right.
But the Dream Bank in their new location, they've tripled, I think, the amount of speakers they can bring in and the amount of seats that can seat. But I mean, everything from personal development to they have arts and crafts, like this Pinterest thing. They have yoga there, but tons of business, entrepreneurial type of classes down there, and free, people free. So I absolutely, get on that email newsletter that comes out, I think, monthly.
Yeah.
They also have that space down there if you are a solo entrepreneur and you want to just be in a space where you can kind of be devoted to time, you can rent a room down there and it's free. So we had a staff retreat in their library, and I mean, we brought in food and it was really comfortable. It was a fireplace. It was really beautiful. So check out, definitely Dream Bank is a really good place to kind of build your business. And then what was the third one? Score, yeah. So SCORE stands for
something
Senior
retired
Corps of
executives.
Retired Executives, something like that. But it's not just retired folks. There are people who are like close to retirement or who are in like looking for ways to do outreach. But it's completely free consulting and coaching for all kinds of aspects of your business. Again, accounting. I've actually had two different SCORE volunteers help me with QuickBooks related questions.
Oh, wow.
So I learned a lot about that. Marketing. What else have I learned? Oh, HR and like
Sure.
how to write a handbook. Like there's just people that are willing to, and they have a whole bunch of different members that are part of SCORE that have all different backgrounds, right?
Sure.
So you choose the mentor that makes the most sense with their background, obviously. And, But I've spoken there and I've done workshops there. So you can, and again, completely free.
Yeah.
So really, three really great low cost or free resources that can help entrepreneurs. And
That's
there's
awesome.
probably others too. The WIBIC is another one, I
Yep,
believe.
I
I'm not
teach
sure
there.
what that stands for. But
Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative Corporation.
okay, yeah, so that's another one. And they have some funding as well that I believe you can apply for.
They do? Yep.
So yeah, tons of resources in Madison.
Yeah.
I feel like. Yeah,
Yeah, it
very
was-
very pro. I thought, when I was in business, one thing I thought was like, I'm going to run out of small businesses and startups to do work for because that's like who I love to work with. Not so much. Like everybody, never ending. People are, they hate where they. My best client is, or my favorite client is that person sitting across the table that is so passionate about what they want to do and they just can't figure out how to make the leap, or they need that nudge where it's like if they had just a business card with their name on it would
Sure.
just give them that lead and that kind of push that they need. I really love working with those clients.
Yeah.
And, 6 months down the road, checking in with them, and they're like, "Yeah, I left my full-time job. I'm like doing it. I'm living the dream," and
Nice.
they're happy and joyous. So
Sure. That's cool.
that's my favorite client.
That's
so.
cool. I want to downshift back into you starting your business.
Okay.
You started your business. You were married, right?
I was engaged.
Engaged.
Yes.
Okay. So how did the conversation go where you talked to your fiance and said, "Hey, I'm going to quit my job and start this full-time business"?
So when I got married, my email changed from T. Hallam, which was my prefix at the insurance company I was working, to T. Ingalls, and that's where Tingles came from. So
Okay.
T. Ingalls being my Tara Ingalls. So people they meet me and they see me and they I got it now. Tara Ingalls, that's where Tingles comes from. They thought
Sure.
it was just a funny phonetic spelling of Tingles.
Right.
So we got married, and then I was like, I was going to freelance, and I'm going to spell the word design kind of funny too. So if you
Yeah.
remember, my first was
I do.
DZYN. It was really old.
I do, because I was
like,
looking
look
at your
how cool-
website
Yeah.
today thinking, wait, wasn't there a Y in there
I
or
was
something?
like,
or
look how
DZ?
cool I am, Tingles Dizini, and so people would call and they'd be Tingles Dizini. I'm like, no, it's design. But so I changed my name in 2013 when SEO became a thing and
Sure.
people were searching for graphic design. I had
Yep.
to get the DZY spelled right.
Yep.
But anyway, I don't know. I think he knew I was frustrated at where I was. He knew that I felt like I have a picture of me sitting in a cubicle. I'm sitting like low back chair, my arms fully extended on a keyboard,
Sure.
looking at this giant early Macintosh back then.
Yeah.
I've got my Discman playing with my
Nice.
headphones. Yeah, that's how old we are here. And I'm miserable. Like
Right.
you can just tell. Like
Sure.
maybe I have some pictures on my cube or something. I think he just knew that I was, meant for something more than that. And I think that he was very supportive. He was working for a car industry. He made enough money that, for us to float our mortgage for a couple months of our need. But I also did have, like I think I told you, I had some newsletters. So I think I had like maybe $500 or $800 coming in on a regular
Sure.
basis.
So you had a little foundation.
So I had a little foundation. And
Sure.
I didn't expect that to go anywhere. I knew that I'd have that. So, but yeah, it was just me, my husband, and my dog at the time. And
Nice.
yeah, so I mean, he was very supportive. His father actually gave me, when we were engaged in '99, a monetary gift that Christmas. So we weren't even married yet. Gave me a monetary gift, and I used that to buy my computer and my software. So he kind of
very
invested
cool.
in my little early on Tingles.
Nice.
So yeah, he helped finance that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had the money to buy those items to
Sure.
start my business. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
So you said there weren't too many challenges. What are some things that went super awesome that you didn't expect to go super awesome?
Referral marketing and word of mouth marketing, you just can't put a value on that. Like, I'm out in the community a lot. I do a lot of pro bono work, so that really helps
Sure.
a lot. A lot of the work that I've done that's been pro bono, we did about $11,000 of pro bono work last year.
Holy
and
cow.
of that work that we've done, a lot of those clients have come back and said, we really liked working with you.
Yeah.
And, we have a freelance or a nonprofit rate, so we can give them a little bit of a discount. But they
Sure.
really just liked the design, the process, communication, that stuff. So, I liked that. That's been really great, is being able to work with a lot of nonprofits.
Sure.
Just being able to network. Like I'm not one of those people think, oh gosh, you're super social butterfly, but I
Sure.
wasn't in the beginning. Like I would go to networking events and I'd be like, sitting on the side of the room, waiting for someone to talk to me.
Sure.
But inevitably, there's always like Bob the business card pusher.
Sure.
Who's come to that meeting to get rid of 100 business cards and then you can go home, right?
You need life insurance.
You need you need financial advising. So no, they got a place to. You need both those things. Don't get me wrong. You need those things. But there's always somebody who'll come up to you if you're just standing by yourself. I feel like, and so I was like waiting for Bob the business card pusher to come up, and I always tell people to look for Bob.
I will be that guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm Bob, and here's my
And
card, and then it's like, what do you
insurance.
do, and what do you do? And so I was always just like, what do you do, and what do you love about what you do? That's what I always ask people. What do you love most about what you do? Because it's a lot easier to like sell that, like, or refer to somebody like he loves life insurance because what does he look? Fill in the blank. Like he, it supports his golf habit. And then he's a huge golfer. So then you got a humanized reason why they do what they do. And to me, like building relationships and knowing what makes people tick, that rapport building and relationship marketing. It's a hard skill to train. I don't think you're either born with that or you're not. I feel like the ability to kind of build rapport and. I mean, you can learn.
I hope not. I say that because my kid is shy.
Oh, you have a shy kid?
Yeah, the first
wow.
The challenge that we're having right now is we go out for breakfast every Sunday morning.
Okay.
Right? That's our religion is eggs.
Okay.
And bacon. Anyways.
Do you make him order?
We're working on it. And he gets all red faced and he's looking straight down and the waitress is like, he, right?
Yep.
And we're like, dude, this is a waiter, waitress, whatever. It's just a human.
It's a stranger though. Yeah.
Their job is to take your order, right? And if myself or my wife doesn't order for you, you're going hungry.
Yeah.
So
networking isn't easy. It's not for everyone. And if you're in a position where you have to get out and network, just use that question. Just be like, "Hi, I'm Susie. I work at such and such business."
Right.
Or if it's at the end of the meeting, what'd you like most about the meeting? Get them just talking about that. But a lot of people are like, they think that they have to have that elevator down, and most of the time you're not sitting there. Hi, my name is Terry.
Right.
I own Dingles Graphic Design. We provide logo, print, and website solutions so that you can focus on what you do best.
Right.
That
the
is
monologue.
That's the monologue that I've never said that in like a networking app. It's like if I'm wearing like a jacket that's got a monogram or something, I'm like, yeah, I work, I volunteer at Heartland Farm Sanctuary. Oh, tell me more about that.
Sure.
So I don't know. Like to me, it's so much more organic than knowing that elevator.
That's awesome that you say that. I mean, 1,000 times awesome. Because in the class that I teach at WIBIC, business planning class, these newbie people that are starting businesses
or thinking about potentially starting it 1 year down the road.
They're kicking the tires on starting a business. But I say we're not going to teach you an elevator pitch. We're going to teach you an elevator conversation.
Oh, I like that.
And the conversation is you have to say your little thing, but it's going to be like 5 seconds because people don't have an attention span past there.
Right.
And then you're going to ask questions, and the questions get to lead the person that you're talking to learn more about you and you about them and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
So instead of this 2 minute, you rah, this is who I am, you can ask them a question that gets them interested, move some emotion, and there can actually be a dialogue.
Right.
Because they're like, what? I was taught you have to have this 2 minute, blah, 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 blah.
Well, you do need to kind of have that. But I mean, I don't know. I just feel like BNI, networking opportunity. Like I was in BNI for 7 years when I first started my
Oh, wow.
BNI is a direct referral marketing company where or not direct referral, but like the groups that you go to only allow one person per profession. So I was the only graphic designer in the room. They teach you in that 60-second to give a really good, repetitive elevator speech. But actually, like, in all those years that I do it, towards the end of it, as you've gotten to know those members in that room, they don't want to hear the same thing every single day. Like you have to like interrupt.
You got to jazz it up.
Like, come in a different colored jacket one day or something. I don't know, but you really can't because you got to just, I don't know, you got to just feel it differently.
Yes.
But networking, I mean, the other tip I have for networking is that if you've been invited by somebody, go with them and meet them in the foyer. So you come in and walk in together. So inevitably, if you've been invited to a networking event, they know someone there and they can introduce you, and then it becomes at least a tripod conversation. The other idea is, if you contact the organizer of the event and say, hey, I've never been to a networking event or I need some help.
Sure.
Could you introduce me to 1 or 2 people when I get there? They would love to do that. Like Middleton Chamber Breakfast, like you just say, hey, I'm new. They'll walk you up and they'll introduce you to 6 people right off the bat. And then you've got good conversations and stuff. Or you can be like me, get there a little late, sit at your table, and then you can do FaceTime introductions because I'm better at smaller groups than I am at big groups. So,
interesting.
But networking is a really great way to get your name out there. Brand awareness, who you are, what you do, put a face to the company, especially if you're one person.
Yeah.
That's how I started my career. And I really do believe that is definitely one of the, still the most source of new leads is me out in the market.
Sure.
Meeting people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you were or are the sales force?
Yep. So hiring a salesperson has been hard to
Oh, sure.
Yeah, because I know I have to I know I have to bring on staff to do that, and that was a hard pill for me to swallow. But I know that I'm just a one-person show. I do have a young family. I want to be present while they're young, and I just know that I needed help with the networking and some
Sure.
of the stuff. And honestly, when we won the Website Development Company of the Year award from In Business in December, we got flooded with great leads, and I couldn't stay on top of it. So I was like,
no.
that's another problem. Is like I can't stay on top of the business as it comes in. I'm losing
Sure.
business because I can't follow up fast enough. So like that was it. I was like, ding ding, I need someone else to answer these
Yeah.
questions. So so that'll be awesome having another little Tingles rep out in the community. So
Sure.
if you see Emily, please be nice to her.
Totally be nice.
Yeah, be nice. But yeah, so that's
All right.
nice about that.
And when you say you weren't that pleased or that excited about that, because that's another mouse to feed, essentially.
Well, yeah, but I have to train her. So, like, I have to get everything that's in my head out on paper to train
Sure.
her in a process that she'll understand and be able to re-execute, right? So, 20 times in a meeting, I'm going to reference a website that I built 10 years ago that she's not going to know. So,
Sure.
she's going to have to do a lot of shadowing. So we're going to do a lot of things together the first, couple months together.
Sure.
And that'll be more of, she'll absorb my greatness.
Sure.
And, just kidding. She'll just absorb my knowledge, I think, the more she hears me
Try to
repeat
keep
it.
up, Emily.
Yeah. Right. No. But I think that shadowing is really great because she's going to hear me say it the way I think it sounds.
Sure.
That's how I feel
Sure.
like training is best. I mean, I did give her a book and
Okay.
said, here's our training manual.
All right.
Read it. Let me know what questions you have. But even that, it's like, she's like, I don't know what a logo guide is. So
Right.
she's actually doing a dual role. She's going to do sales and account management. So she's
Okay.
got a lot to learn. She's got a lot to absorb and take in. But
Sure.
I mean, I'm not giving her a book of business being, here's 20 clients now.
Sure.
Go get work. Like,
Right.
at least she's going to organically go out, meet people like I did,
Okay.
bring. But yeah, my role is new business development. I'm like chief fun executive officer. I
Nice.
plan the team building. I
Sure.
do all the accounting,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. I wear, a lot of hats. But
You'll still have work after Emily
yeah.
gets rolling.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I
You'll
mean,
be like, oh, I'm bored.
my goal would be to bring on two more designers. That would be awesome.
Nice.
2 more designers.
Okay.
We'd like to also, we have an internship program that we do
Okay.
that's pretty phenomenal. If anyone is a graphic designer that's looking to get in, we've got a hands-on 12-week internship program that's on our website.
Oh, very cool.
If they're looking to expand their skills in that, I'd love to have 2 interns at a time and then expand my three designers to 5.
Sure.
That'd be my dream. That'd be my
Nice.
dream team right there.
All right.
Yeah. So
Is there? I imagine there's a point when you just get too big beyond
I
that.
did have a really big team at one point. When we won the Dane County Small Business Award in 2016, we had a team of 12, and
Oh,
that was a
wow.
lot for me.
Okay.
A lot of them were doing very part-time roles. So we had somebody doing social media, someone doing photography,
Sure.
and someone doing copy. And all 3 of those roles, we've since eliminated those positions and we're outsourcing.
Okay.
I would love to bring them back on,
Okay.
but it's one of those things where they're going to have to go out and hunt to kill what they want.
Sure.
That's harder than just here's the work. So
Right.
we decided in 2018 to really focus on our craft, which is really good high-end custom design. So that means logo, print, website design, which is our main kind of triad of products and services.
Sure.
So I did have 12 at one
Okay.
point, and that's the biggest I've ever been.
Was it a challenge dropping down?
No, because people just kind of left. Like the photographer we had on staff, she opened her own studio in Lake Mills. Phenomenal.
Oh, nice.
Photographer Joanna Niven. A little shout out to her.
Sure.
The one of them was an intern that was phenomenal, but I didn't have enough work at the time to keep her on staff.
Sure.
The copywriter again was a position where she got a position offer somewhere else that I just couldn't compete with. So
Sure.
it wasn't hard. I didn't let them go; they left.
Sure.
But
involved.
we still contract to them, and we still are in touch with them. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, to me, we got down to a very small core. We had 4 employees for a while,
Okay.
and it was a very small group.
Sure.
The Spoon's card game was a little difficult with only 4 people. But,
Right.
but we still made it go.
Sure.
But yeah, so that's kind of the future. That's where I'd love to be. For now,
Yeah. Nice.
I'm pretty happy where we are right now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I got 2 quick questions for you left.
Okay. How much time do we have left?
Not much.
Okay.
So your website, what is it?
Tingles.com, TINGALLS.com. So
Okay.
Tingles.com.
Okay, easy, super awesome. And then really quick, what is what is the best piece of advice that you would offer to someone that was considering starting a business, regardless of what kind?
don't be afraid to ask for help. I think with, LinkedIn is a phenomenal tool where if you're looking for some product or service, or if you're looking for help in something, a lot of people love the idea of mentoring. I think, even if they're not close to retirement, I would love for somebody to be like, yeah, I've got a freelance business and I'm struggling to get leads, or I'm thinking about starting a business and I don't know how to do referral marketing. Or I don't know how to do that. I would love to sit down for a cup of coffee and just pour out what I know.
Nice.
As long as they're not going to take over my company. But maybe it's better if it's not a freelance designer. If you're an insurance agent and want to know. No, I'm just kidding. That would be my best advice, is to not be afraid to say I need help with something, especially like things like I don't know how to get my entity formation papers done, and I don't know how to set up my QuickBooks correctly. Like a lot of professional services will offer those services for free if you work with them in the future. So just get a really good team of people that are willing to support you, that are not family. Because family's not always supportive all the time. Do not work for your family for free. That's my best way, but do not work for your family for free. That'll be probably my best piece of advice.
High five there.
Just charge them. You can work with them, just charge them.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
They are a client.
They are
totally
clients
not
too.
kidding.
Right. Well, kind of. Sorry, not sorry. Kidding, not kidding. But I felt like when I started my business and when I was in B&I felt like there were a really good core group of people. I had my insurance guy was in there, my accountant was in there. I just had a really good support group of people that were supporting me, and and going to a networking group like that makes you accountable every week to keep going.
Yes.
And that's another thing that I think that would be good, is if you can find a small group of individuals. A lot of chambers of commerce are really great places for you to join. They're really low cost for startups. It gives you another meeting to go to, and lots of networking opportunities.
See the people, get the word out. True.
Face to face. It's not dead. It's
No.
It's,
Thank goodness,
in the
it's
world
most
of
fun.
direct marketing and email marketing and Facebook, and you're inundated with all this digital, just come and have a cup of coffee.
Right?
I love that.
Fair.
I do. I do.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
Tara, this has been awesome.
Thank you for having me.
You gave a lot of advice, man. Holy
Good,
cow.
did I? Okay, good.
We could keep going for another 2 hours, but I think they'll kick us out. So
Probably.
We can't. This has been Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle, stories, and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. Coming to you from the Sun Prairie Community Studios, underwritten by Bank of Sun Prairie. Woot woot! My name is James Kademan, and Authentic Business Adventures is brought to you by Calls on Call, offering call answering and receptionist services for small businesses across the country. On the web at callsoncall.com, as well as Draw In Customers Business Coaching, offering business coaching services for entrepreneurs in all stages of their business. What a complex word for a simple thing.
It is. You're so good at it.
On the web at drawincustomers.com. And, of course, the Bold Business Book, a book for the entrepreneur in all of us. There's that word again. Available on Amazon and wherever fine books are sold. We'd like to thank you, our wonderful listeners, as well as Tara, our wonderful guest.
You're welcome.
That's Tara Ingalls, owner of Tingles Graphic Design at tingles.com.
That's right.
It's almost too easy. Find us airing on 103.5 Wednesdays at 1 p.m., Sundays at 2 p.m., as well as at sunprairiemediacenter.com. Past episodes can be found morning, noon, and night at the podcast link, found at drawincustomers.com. Thank you for listening. We will see you next week. I want you to stay awesome, and if you do nothing else, enjoy your business.